It's the final game week of the season, which means one more free transfer to make any changes to our teams. Here are players to buy and avoid ahead of game week 38. Now, I could genuinely make a list as long as my arm of players that I think are worth buying ahead of game week 38. So the best way I thought I'd lay it out is I start by looking at the top players for expected points by position according to my friends at DraftHound. You can find DraftHound in the link in the description below. Looking at the goalkeepers, it's actually quite an interesting lineup. We've got Muric, the Burnley keeper, top for expected points in game week 38. The guy might not have kept that many clean sheets, but he is absolutely outstanding for bonus points. And I think that's why we are seeing him so high on the expected points total. Of course, Burnley, unfortunately, relegated now, but I don't think that's going to matter too much. They're going to try and show up in game week 38 and give their fans something to cheer about before the end of the season, right? Raya in second place. In my mind, probably the best goalkeeper, safest goalkeeper to go for. 3.7 expected points. Got Everton at home, obviously Arsenal, the best defence in the league. Man City and Ederson actually able to keep clean sheets at the moment, which has been rare this season. Leno against a relegated Luton. Petrovic, Alisson, Flecken, Martinez and Vicario are your top keepers, although I thought I'd go through them, but ultimately we've only probably got one free transfer left to use. I probably wouldn't use it on my goalkeeper. I'd say the same about defenders, although there is one, and I'll talk about him towards the end of the video. There is one that I would consider bringing in, but the rest of them, most of us probably have a fairly, well, I say solid. There are so many goals going in at the moment in the league. You can't really say there is a solid defence at the moment, but I think most of us have defenders that we're largely happy with, right? Guardiola is top of defenders for expected points. White in second place. Walker, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, Akanji, Pedro Porro, Gabriel and Castagna are your top defenders for game week 38. All right, it gets a little bit more exciting now we get onto the midfielders. And interestingly, ahead of both teams actually playing a fixture in game week 38, we've got Saka leading Salah as the top midfielder for expected points. Saka with Everton at home, 6.7 expected points. Regardless of what happens in game week 37 with his availability, I'd imagine that he will have sufficient recovery time, if he is out for 37 that is, to be fit for 38. So no doubt in my mind Saka plays, I don't think. Salah, 6.4 expected points against Wolves, only now 23% owned across the game, and I would hedge a bet that most of that 23% are kind of inactive teams. I'd imagine a lot of the game would have sold Salah. It's certainly ahead of game week 37 for a player with a double game week. He could be a nice differential. I'll actually talk about Salah a bit more later on. Odegaard and Havertz, both in really good form for Arsenal at the moment. I personally just wouldn't pick them over Saka. I think the ideal Arsenal lineup at the moment is two defensive options in Saka. I think outside of Saka, just Odegaard and Havertz just not amongst the goals quite enough, I don't think. Kevin De Bruyne, Palmer, Gordon, Son and Trossard are the other top mids. Interestingly, Phil Foden's not on this list. I'd put Phil Foden in that mix of top midfielders. I think he's been brilliant this season. And, depending on whether Man City have got the title wrapped up in time for game week 37, of course, that might determine whether he plays or not. I think it's going to go down to the wire, and gotta say, Phil Foden's a good option too. And on to the forwards. I guess it's no surprise for most people to see Haaland at number one. He's got West Ham at home, 7 expected points for him. I think just comparing him to the midfielders, yeah, he's got the most expected points of any player, although I'd imagine most people watching this video already have Haaland, right? Isak in second place, another really popular player. He could, I believe he might have picked up an injury in game week 37 in the first fixture. Remains to be seen, of course, what that injury is and if he's likely back for 38. He's up there, 42.7% owned. He might be a player you'd want to sell if he certainly is injured. Watkins, Nicholas Jackson, Solanke, Alvarez, Mateta, Morris and Højlund are the top forwards for game week 38. I thought I would close out the video then by talking about my 3 sort of favourite assets, 3 assets that I would really want to bring in ahead of game week 38. So starting off with Salah. I think, considering how poor Wolves have been recently, he could be a really nice option. I think at the moment, not many active managers will actually own him. If there's any way you can get to bringing him into your team for game week 38, I think it will pay off for you. I don't know exactly what his ownership is in top 10k, etc. at the moment, but I imagine it's quite low considering, you know, the likes of De Bruyne, Foden, Gordon, etc. have all doubled in game week 37, and Salah will probably been sold by quite a lot of players in order to buy those guys. He could be a nice option if you can get back to him. I really just like the fact he's likely to start, play 90 minutes and take penalties. It will be Jurgen Klopp's final game in charge of Liverpool, so it's got to have some kind of aura around the game that means Liverpool will really play up to it, I think. And yes, you know, they don't really have anything to play for, but obviously they have to honour, you know, a manager that will live in legend for Liverpool, right? Which makes me think Salah is a really good option. And when you look across the league, there are only 2 players that have played consistently that average over 1 expected returns per 90, which means every 90 minutes he gets either, you know, a total of 1 expected return, so combined XG, XA in every 90 minutes that he plays. So every game he starts, basically, you should expect him to get a return. There are only 2 players that are at that level, the other one, of course, being Erling Haaland. So Salah, he's a great option, and I don't mind him as a captaincy option if you can get to him for 38. Next up is the defender of the moment. I think if you don't have Guardiola in your team at the moment, he's really got to be someone you should consider. It will, of course, depend on Man City's situation with the league. If they have things wrapped up, I'm recording this on Saturday, so that's before Arsenal have played their fixture and Man City have played their second fixture of 37. So, you know, if Arsenal lose, Man City win the second fixture, the league's done, right? I don't expect that to happen. So that's why I'm recommending Guardiola. He is in just absolutely outrageous form at the moment. When you count his total returns, goals, assists and clean sheets combined, he's got 9 of them in his last 5 games. And if you were to pick a striker, for example, that scored 9 goals plus, got 9 attacking returns, should I say, for 5.1 million, you'd be thinking, oh, they're the best player in the game. And that's the level that Guardiola is playing at when you look at goals, assists and clean sheets combined. And that's what I quite like about him, because he's a player that's proven to get returns through 3 different means. And I feel he's given me Cancelo vibes from previous seasons, right? Where Cancelo had locked down that sort of inverted left-back, left-winger spot for Man City. That's what Guardiola's doing at the moment. And he's proven that he can score goals with his right foot, which I really like. Like I said, it depends on Man City's league position for game week 38. But I think he likely starts because I think the title's going to go down to the wire. I don't think Arsenal are going to slip up against Man United, given their form at the moment. Yeah, the guy's in crazy form when it comes to attacking returns. Man City actually managing to keep clean sheets at the moment. I think he's a great option. And finally, on the forward line, like I mentioned, Isak, he could be injured, which means he might be out of game week 38. I mean, it's just, what about you at the moment? We don't know the full extent of things, right? But if he is, I think Watkins could be a fantastic buy for your team. He's still the top scoring forward in FPL. Many would have sold him weeks ago due to other strikers having double game weeks. And the guy has still just consistently returned points and attacking returns. 35 starts, 19 goals, 17 assists is just absolutely ridiculous. What's that? That's 36 attacking returns from 35 starts. Crystal Palace, definitely not the strongest defensively. They are playing well at the moment, but I would expect them to concede a few to Aston Villa and could well be a good game for Watkins. So like I said, with Isak potentially being injured, I like the thought of moving him on for the guy who is still the top scoring forward in the game, Ollie Watkins. Alright, and that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that one. Rather than go through my lists of players like I usually do from my mind, I thought I'd use the expected points data just because the one free transfer kind of means it's kind of a free hit really to bring absolutely anyone that you want into your team. It doesn't really matter, well, it does sort of matter what upcoming fixtures they've got, but it's only one, isn't it? So there's just so many options available basically, and I thought the best way to present that was to show you the expected points data a little bit earlier than I usually do. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave me a like rating. Let me know in the comments who you're eyeing up to bring in ahead of Game Week 38. And subscribe to the Goal and Goal channel if you want to see more content from me. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in my next video.